Okay, is everybody ready? All right, I'll call the meeting of General Government and Finance Committee to order at 6:01 p.m. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with Section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call. All members are present. With that, we'll move on to approval of the minutes of January 17th, 2022.
Motion to that effect.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, with that, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the room or online for public comment? Nobody on? Okay. With that, then we'll move to new business. Item A, Resolution 09-2022, establishing 2022 weights and measures device fee schedule.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it, but
All right, we have a motion. Discussion. This is a standard annual thing, right?
Yeah, every year, with this,
Ordinance that we submit.
no control over it really.
these rates have not changed from last year, correct if I remember? Okay,
Just a minimal change in the rates for this year.
got it.
That's what I saw. Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item B. This one will be a little longer. Budget carryovers.
We have a few items on, that we're requesting carryovers, and Matthew Uselding is here to present those.
Yeah, so I attached a memo to the GGF packet, separating out the general fund and capital fund carryovers. One note of change in the general fund, under highway, for the last four ending in 8100, that should be 12,000, not 10,000. You'll see in the description it said 12, and I fat keyed the 0 and put a 0 there instead of a 2.
Which one is that, Matthew?
It should be 10-542-570-8100.
Okay.
That should be 12,000, not 10,000.
Is the total amount correct? I didn't add them.
You should add the 2,000. It should be $202,200.
Okay.
Yeah. So the total carryover for the general fund should be $202,200, and then for the capital fund should be $395,749.
Give me those again, slower, please.
Yep.
Sorry.
The general fund should be $202,200, and then the capital fund should be $395,749.
All right, I'm reading, sorry. Committee questions.
Quick question. So this money is still going to be used?
Correct. These are for
In
projects that
specific items, not for anything else?
correct. These are for projects that
Okay.
were not completed in 2021.
And
so
it's
those-
enough money to complete these projects?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, Trustee Myers.
Well, I know we had around 50,000 for seal coating. And then we had money left over that they used for the, but the asphalt money that's left over on highway actually was for, to put that amount, that project is done. All the roads are done from last year. That money is the money that we're going to use this year in regard to it, to the 1.5 million that was borrowing. That's why I mentioned originally in regard to doing Country Air, which part of that money was supposed to go to, and the possibility of Pleasant Lane. So am I wrong?
So in the highway, this is not the borrowed money of the 1.5 million. This is
No, I understand that.
Oh.
This is money left over. That's what we're carryover.
I think, the amount that's,
1 second. what you had mentioned was this is projects that haven't been done yet. And what I'm saying to you is the highway projects that we had from last year were done. This is money that's left over. That's all I'm saying,
Oh.
Steve. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Just to clarify, this list does not include the highway projects, the road projects themselves. We're still looking, reviewing those numbers, and pulling together the actual expenditures and prior year carryovers. The amount that you're seeing on this sheet is related to the seal coating. That was the amount that was left after seal coating was done last year.
395?
No.
Right. And I said there should be about 50,000, I think.
So this is the capital fund for all capital projects, not just asphalt paving. The asphalt paving capital numbers are not included in this carryover as we're still reviewing those.
Well, let me put it this way. We'll go over this at another time, and that's fine. Because I've asked Larry in regard to this once before in regard to this. And in fact, he even mentioned when we were going through the budget time in regard to you know how I am on roads, so I know what my stuff on the roads. I may be wrong in some of the numbers, but here again, we'll go through this between the two of us and get it, and that's fine.
What I'm hearing is that this is a partial list. The roads are still not included.
The roads,
The carryover is not included.
the roads are not included. We
So
need
this
to-
is a partial list of carryovers. It's not an entire list. There's more coming?
No.
There- I-
There were
there-
certain words that being used, that you used, but I'm going to let it go. Forget it. Good enough.
There may be more coming. We're still reviewing the road projects are the one area where, to be honest, we're going through to look to see how much was spent, and how much, if any, is available for carryover.
All right, any other questions, comments? Okay, we have a motion. If no other comments, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Item C, Baker Tilly Engagement Agreement for fiscal year 2022-2023 Financial Audit Services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Make up for when I was talking about Terry.
All right, we have a motion, discussion. This is our standard contract with Baker Tilly, right, to review the finances for the last year.
Yep, this is the audit engagement. The one thing that I would note on this is that I think we've had Baker Tilly for quite a while, and generally, it is a good idea to go out with an RFP periodically. However, given the changes that we've had in the finance department, as well as that we're implementing a new financial management system, I think it would be, prudent to stick with them until we complete those processes, and then probably look at doing an RFP in 2024.
Right, I fully agree. I mean, we've had a change in the financial department, quite a significant one last year, and to have that history now with Baker Tilly, I think is a good idea to keep that.
I would agree the same thing, because most of the language in here is boilerplate language. Only page 32 and 42 are the ones where they have different amounts that they're charging per hour for the services rendered. So that's why I made a motion, so.
Were you going to say something, Steve?
If I could, one other thing to note for the committee, and we don't normally like to do this, we did put this on the village board agenda for this evening as well. We had a conference call with Baker Tilly last week, and they indicated that they would like to start the audit process next week. So we wanted to get that moving forward.
So the amounts that Baker Tilly is charging, am I right in looking at page 6 for those three? So it's a 3-year?
It is a 3-year agreement, and I believe page 6 is the correct spot.
Yeah.
And do those numbers fall within our budgeted number?
Yes.
And I think that timing makes sense. 3 years, we'll have the new system intact or in place by then after that, and then we can review and go out for RFP.
And they have been very helpful just with some of that historical knowledge there. they're the only ones who are around, who had, any history or experience.
Trustee Myers?
Is it possible, Steve, with Matthew being able to put down the budget number that would be in when we see things like this as as inclusion? Yes.
And you're saying for future contracts that we bring
Right.
forward? Yeah,
Anything
we
in
could-
regard
yeah,
to that,
that's a good
because
idea.
this it makes it easy for me to go back to the budget that we have, and look in it, and I can see. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, Resolution 10-2022, Professional Firefighters International Association of Firefighters, Local 4854, Afl-Cio, CLC Union Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Normally, I would make a
That's
motion right away, but I won't do that. It's because you walked up already.
Oh, well, I can go sit down.
We want to hear about it.
It's my funny joke, whatever.
Chief Delane and I sat down with the union and had some conversations, and they brought this back to their union and got it approved. So a lot of the stuff in here is just making sure that things are in accordance to our handbook. So not a lot of changes that don't go along with our handbook. They were able, or they did come to an agreement to latch onto the insurance item that we wanted them to. They just had a couple changes there. We did agree in this to increase their uniform allowance to 500 from 250. And then after reviewing some of their statistics, comparing themselves to other surrounding area firefighters, we have 3.5 for the following 3 years.
That amount.
Trustee Kaminsky.
Could you tell us about the insurance, the 12%, now what they were doing in the past and how we arrived at where we are now?
Oh, for the insurance, it's just with our wellness program. So it's the same thing we had for the fire union. So we're just requiring them to get to silver status with Go 365, which just requires like biometric screening, a health assessment, and a couple of steps here and there to get you to that level. But then then we stay at the 12% for insurance, for health insurance. Whereas if they don't meet that requirement, then they go to 25%.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion. Any other discussion?
Were there any sticking points this time in the negotiation?
I don't think there were really too much. We had some back and forth. I know with that insurance thing, they did add at the bottom about if the plan were no longer to be active, that they would be able to get out of it. So that was not in the police contract. But that was
Otherwise, it pretty much mirrors the police,
theirs.
correct?
It doesn't necessarily mirror the police, I would say, but it does.
I think the police, the big issue were the holidays this year, so they're.
Yeah, because they didn't have holidays, so.
The amount of money and the insurance, that's all.
The insurance
same for both?
is similar with the one caveat that Aaron just mentioned. But it's still the same 12 and 25%, and including the wellness plan. The pay was quite a bit different because the police union gave up some significant pay. I think theirs was
There's 1%, yeah, for
1%
next,
over
next
3
year.
years. But in exchange for
Well,
that, they received those.
2.5 for the next two.
I'm sorry, 1% and then 2.5 in order for those, to get those holidays paid out. So,
You're comfortable with it?
yeah, I think, pay is going up, and I think getting a 3-year contract at this rate gives us some predictability for future budgets, and I doubt that, unless things really change drastically in the economy, that we're going to see future contracts that come in lower than this. I think this is probably a good rate to get locked in.
Any other questions? I can see that we may have some disparity later on though at the village level since this is at 3.5 for the firefighters.
That is going to be a challenge going forward in future budget years. You know, when we did bring a few months ago the battalion chief salaries and looked for an adjustment there in part because of compression. And I think that when we in the fall start looking at general village employees, and you know, we'll have to try to keep that in mind that the union rates are going up more than what they have in the past. And I think it's important to keep management rates increasing at a similar speed.
Trustee Myers?
I was going to agree. One of the things that one of the things that we talked about was in regard to retention and such. To me, this is between the police and fire is really important to me that we keep that in mind as such, especially with the police department where they have another one who just retired as such, to create a new list. We need quality applicants. And this is the way of ending up doing that along with what we changed because Chief Snow had mentioned in public safety that by changing that particular aspect, that it would be easier to compare with the other groups when we do ask for additional applicants. So it's all in the best end.
Mr. Chairman?
I
Yes.
believe Chief Delane is on.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. Aaron and I did spend a significant amount of time comparing our department with the surrounding metro area department. And I think a lot of what you're seeing in this is trying to get them on a more comparable plane to the neighboring departments for that retention reason, and less of trying to necessarily keep them in line with the rest of village staff. It was a significant amount of research that went into trying to make sure that we were being competitive in a very competitive field.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the rates are out of line. And like
Look at inflation.
like Steve said, we'll have to address that in the future budgets for the rest of the village and find out where the,
Insurance too.
the wage rates are. So I think you did a good job on the contract. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. With that, there is no unfinished business, right? We'll move on to the reports for the month. Year-to-date revenue and expense reports. Any questions on that?
Nothing stood out.
Nothing?
I have one question.
Yeah, Trustee Myers.
Steve, are we up to date, or Deanna, are we up to date in regard to refunds, that aspect for taxpayers, the taxes and so on? I know we've been getting previous reports and you said that you were catching up with it. I was just wondering if we're up to date now.
In your packet, you do have 2 reports of tax refunds in your
Right.
packet. We do have a few stragglers to complete within the office, but it is less than 10. There are ones that need a little additional research prior to sending the money out, that I just want more information before we cut the check and actually put it in the mail. But most of them are complete, and you do have 2 reports in your packet with that information.
I did see the reports. That's why it prompted my question, thinking that we're maybe done now. But you mentioned 10 more. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to accounts payable. Quite a few. January, basically January and into mid-February. Anything with accounts payable?
No, not for me.
All right. And as mentioned, we have 2 tax refund reports on here.
Right. Not a problem.
Questions with that?
No, I just asked that, but that's fine.
All right, with that, we'll move to letter of credit.
Nothing really of note on the letter of credit report this cycle. There is one automatic renewal that's in process at the time the report was prepared.
Violation reports.
There are a couple of items to point out here. One, the issue related to the Belkey property is still on the list, and just the latest update is that the village attorney has been in contact with the attorney for the property owner regarding some solutions to some runoff issues that are causing problems with a neighbor. Engineering staff has been assisting in trying to come up with a solution that both property owners will find agreeable, and the attorney has been trying to work to get that implemented. But it has been a process that has dragged on to some extent. Also, there are just 3 new items on the last page of the report that inspection services identified. Relatively minor issues, and they're working with the property owners to try to resolve those.
Poultry on less than 2 acres. That'll come up again.
Yep, that is when we do get calls occasionally about the chickens and what the rules are, and sometimes people go ahead and do things without checking to make sure that it's permissible.
Okay, anything else on the violations? No. Capital data IT report update.
Okay, so I know I promised that Eric would be here to give this report, but I'm going to give it this month and he'll be here next month. So just going through the report. So first we have Village Hall. Obviously the backups and the virtual environment. We're working, or will be on the village board consent agenda for the next village board meeting right after this. For DR and storage, or disaster recovery and storage, we're working on, that's also part of the backups and the storage space that we have. Currently, Exchange and Active Directory are in the green because we're working on those projects right now. That's the EMS project and the email project. We've run into a few hiccups, but we're gonna survive and get through this and get our emails up to the cloud. So that's in the process for the next few weeks, couple weeks. Down on the police department end too, you see that disaster recovery is also another issue in red. That's the one that we're still working on. Once the backup architecture is approved, then that will start to be replaced. And then we have the fire department where the backups and the disaster recovery are also in red. So those are the things that are being worked on, the most immediate actions. Like I said, we have the backup project that will be hopefully approved at the next board meeting or at the meeting after this. And then currently we're doing the EMS and email project.
Aaron, one question. As you're doing this, are things getting consolidated? Like, are the backups being consolidated into one?
Yes, yes. So the backups are going to be consolidated here at Village Hall. So all the backups will be here. The police and the fire departments will be here at Village Hall. And then it will be also in the cloud. So we'll have multiple backup layers, which is nice because right now we just have one. We have the servers and we have the little sticks that we stick in them every day to make sure that they're being backed up on multiple items. Now we'll have it in the cloud as well as on the server. So.
Right. Good. Trustee Meyer.
Just a quick, for people who may be listening or whatever, could you identify the 3 colors, what they mean, please?
Oh.
Just go back with just one, just so you can see it.
Sure, I'm so
Ed just
sorry.
mentioned,
Yep.
now we don't have a green in there, but whatever.
Yep. So this one is the fire department. We only have yellow and red on there. But we're working on all of these issues right now as we speak.
Could you, no, what I meant is, could you identify what yellow means, what red means, and what green means?
Sure. So green means healthy, yellow means in between healthy and not, and red means it's not healthy. So,
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
oh, sure. Yep.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Just, I understand, but people looking at don't understand.
Sure. No, I
Lucas said-
understand. So then these next few boxes just explain, what I was just going through. One of the major issues, the areas in yellow for many of these, is that we just don't have the contracts and the level of support for many of these servers and other programs and products that we have because they're very old and they're outdated. And so it's just going to take some time to renew things, get some service contracts in place for those different areas. And I can upload this too. I understand it wasn't in your packet, and I do apologize for that.
Aaron, Trustee Myers has another.
Yes.
I was going to say, no, the different programs that you talked about, are they ones that we would be purchasing this year?
No, it's not purchase. Oh, you mean the level of support?
Yes.
So that you bring up a good point. So next, in about a week, we're going to be having a meeting with all of their members regarding what they've come up with. They've already collected the data that we're going to be reviewing, and they're going to show us the areas that we need to do projects. So we're going to be meeting with them next week. Steve and I will be.
Thank you.
So we'll be able to give a little more explanation after that. And we can, at the next GGF meeting then, when Eric comes to give the monthly presentation, he could probably go over some of that as well. So here is looking at the tickets. So this is for the month of January. There were 13 tickets. 10 of them were were taken care of. 3 of them were still open. And then on here they have that it took about 9 days to recover, or the average was 9 days to recover the issues. So a lot of the issues that we're running into is ones that they've never seen before. So it's taking a little while for them to figure out. So we just had a couple. So but that's for, not for January, but yeah, so they're doing a good job, but it's, it's been they've been
Discovery.
a lot of discovery. Yes. Thank you. Well, I like how you put that. Yes. And so these are our utilization trends. So as you can see, the infrastructure is pretty high right now, but I'm sure that will start to go downwards as the months progress, especially since we're taking care of a lot of the big ticket items. And then this is just an update on, oh, you can't read that. Okay. This is just an update of the projects that we're currently doing, that are currently in progress. And so it's the EMS project, the backup replacement project. So the EMS project is also with the email project, the backup project, and then the Pro Phoenix upgrade, which they've been working with the police department on. So I'm not sure if there's any questions, but that's our monthly report.
Any questions?
Well, that's personally true.
If I could just summarize, I think it's been a good step so far for the village that brought capital data on board. And I think Aaron has been doing a good job of working with them. I'll say that there have been quite a few growing pains as we've been adjusting and I think they've been adjusting. And as Trustee Miller pointed out, a lot of discovery at sort of starting a remodeling project in an old house. You tear off the wall and then you see what's behind it, and it causes some issues and some concerns. So, but I like a lot of things, it's they're as we work through it, I think we'll look back in a year or so and be pleased with the result.
Yeah, if you go back I think one slide, nope, 2 slides. So this one is very telling to me. I get the same exact ones that.
Oh, do you?
I get in the office. So that orange line is the trend of time that they've been taking to, help the village out or help the whoever they're working with. And you can see that line went from 50 plus hours down to what, about 10 in January. And that's a telling sign right there that things are starting to move in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that's a really nice trend.
Yep. And in the next few weeks, I think things are going to change just for the better. I mean, they can only get better.
All right. That wraps it up. Thank you. With that, we will schedule the next meeting, and the next meeting would be on 3/21, I believe. If we can do that at 6 p.m. Does that work for everyone? All right, so we'll schedule the next meeting March 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the boardroom. With that, we are adjourned.